Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey. Today we're taking a look at this guy right here, Titan Race by FunForge and Passport Studios. It is a game for 2 to 6 players, takes about half an hour, and you're basically commandeering these Titans. You're taking on the personas of riders of Titans, and you're running a race through a bunch of an interdimensional race course that can be the same one and you just have to do laps, or if you use the other style of the game, you can actually use 3 different kinds of dimensions, and you have 3 different kinds of perils and bonuses and all of this kind of stuff. It's actually a pretty neat game, but let me get down to the table and I'll show you. In a game of Titan Race, each player is taking on the role of a rider of a Titan from some kind of mythos, from ancient history or what have you, and you're racing over different kinds of terrain, and the first person to, in the base game, make 4 laps on the board that they are running, the first person to do that is the winner. The way they do that is by simply rolling some dice, which look like this, that have very different sides on them, custom dice, very cool. And they get to choose one of those dice, and then it continues forward. So let's say that Ragnarok is going first. They will take the dice and roll them, and this is what they have available to them. They will be able to choose one of these, and so let's say that he chooses to go to forward. He does that. Then these 3 go to Grinder. Grinder can choose one of these. Let's say that he chooses to do this one, and then Cthulhu is able to choose one of these. Let's say they choose that one, and then it goes to Slog over there. Slog, only having one choice, takes all of the dice and rolls and then picks from one of these. Let's say he chooses that one, and then play continues, so forth and so on. Around the board where Ragnarok gets this choice, he chooses this. Grinder gets to choose one of these, then comes back to Cthulhu, and he gets to roll all 4, and so forth and so on. So that's how the game progresses, using the dice as a movement mechanism. Now, to sort of explain how each of the different dice work out, we're going to go ahead and show you real quickly. If we have a yellow move forward 2, you would simply do that. You would go 1, 2. Now, on this board, there's ice spaces, which means you would slide, so it would be 1, 2. Okay? So that's how this one would simply go forward. The next one would be a move forward 1 and then either diagonal left or right. So you could start here and move forward 1 and then either go 1 to the right or to the left. So in this case, you'd probably choose to go to the left, which means you would be able to go here, which is a little bit further than just going here. Then there is the go forward 3 to the diagonal left or right. So you could literally start here and go 1, 2, 3, or you could start here and go 1, 2, and then this board does wrap, which means you would go from the 3 to the 4. So either way, on this specific case, you're going to be ending up in the same spot. Then there is the go forward 2 to the left or to the right, and then damage someone either before you move or after you move if they are adjacent. So Cthulhu could just start here and say, I'm going to go to the right 2, and then damage Ragnarok for 1. Then there is the place a trap either before or after you move, but you only get to move forward 1. So you could say, I'm going to start here, and I'm going to move forward 1, and then I'm going to drop a trap right there. Now, traps are important because if somebody goes over them, they'll cause 1 point of damage in the future. And then finally, there is this die, which basically allows you to choose any of the other 5 faces of the die, but in order to do that, you have to lose 1 health point. In addition to all of those other movement things that I just showed you, there are these little lightning bolt spaces on the board. Whenever you pass over one of those spaces, you can draw a bonus card. Now, you have a maximum limit of 2 bonus cards in your hand at any point in time, and if you already have 2 and you pass over another one, you're not able to draw a third. So that's something to keep in mind. You can play 1 bonus card on your turn, and you can use your special ability once on your turn at most. You can never play more than 1 of the bonus cards, but this special ability you can always play whether you've played one of these bonus cards or not. Bonus cards that are out there, for example, this one right here is the Gauntlets of Justice of the Mad King. And so this one says the Titan about to inflict damage to you takes the damage instead. So if somebody's about to damage you, you can play this on their turn and they take the damage instead of you. This one, the Ether Crystal, this one is one that will basically give, it says use the ability of an adjacent Titan. So in this specific case, if Ragnarok plays this card, I would be able to use the Cthulhu Drain Life, which means I could inflict 1 damage on Cthulhu and gain a life point back from that. Or vice versa, Cthulhu could use Icy Punch against Ragnarok. Move an adjacent Titan 1 space in any direction. So that is that. If a Titan uses their special ability, they simply turn it over to denote that they've used it that turn, and then at the beginning of their next turn, they would turn it back over, denoting that they can use it again in that new turn. The game does come with 3 of these tiles, and they are also double-faced, each one with their own little peril occurring on them. Now, some of them can help you move, like, for example, this one, the ice spaces help you move. There are other ones, which, like this one right here, that have little jumps on them. And those jumps will let you jump over either 1 or 2 spots depending on what kind of jump it is. There's also fire, which will damage you. Then there's also pirate places that will also give you damage or make you drop bonus cards, your choice. You can bump players into different parts of the map, and when you bump into them, you do cause them damage. So that's another way for you to inflict damage on the other racers and kind of throw them off course, possibly make it difficult for them to get to the end of the race before you do. If you lose all of your hit points, let's say that Ragnarok gets knocked down to 0 hit points, you simply lay your model down, and then at the beginning of your next turn, you'll stand him back up. You'll still choose one of the dice to take it out away from the next person's turn, but you won't carry out the die, and you'll simply stand up. So you essentially, when you die, you don't go back any spaces, you just skip your next turn, and then you're able to race on as if nothing happened. Another way to play the game is that you can have 3 boards set up, and then you just race from one side of the board to the next, and the first person to get off of that 3rd board is the winner. That's another way that you can actually play the game as well. So that's how you play Titan Race. It's a game that I thought 30 minutes, yeah, maybe. If you're playing the grand tournament version where you have 3 boards set apart and you just have one lap, so to speak, and whoever wins at the end of that 3rd board is the winner. Maybe if you do that one, it's 30 minutes, but if you do the 4-lap one around one board, you run into a lot of different things that happen that don't necessarily happen on the other version. For example, if you're doing the laps, where you have to do 4 laps around one-dimensional board, then you're probably going to be running into traps. You're going to be hurting each other a lot more often, so people are going to be dying more often. With the one that has 3 boards and you just one trip, you're probably not going to be hitting as much traps, and you're not going to be having as many people die. So 30 minutes that way, I can definitely see that happening, because that's about how long those kinds of races took when I was playing them. But with the 4 lappers, you're probably going closer to about 45 minutes, if not an hour, depending on how many times people interact with each other, cause damage to the other person's Titans, and so forth and so on. It's a much tighter race when you have only one board and you have to do 4 laps on it. But on the flip side of that, with the 3-board race, you kind of have that person that gets out in the lead first is probably going to be the one that wins, unless people are able to catch up to them and do some damage or something to that effect and swap place with them or what have you. But more often than not, I think, based on my experience with the game, is that the person who gets out in ahead first and kind of off by himself, he's probably going to win, because then he feels free to not worry about having to damage other people, but just, you know, bullet towards the finish line. Now, with that having been said, the custom dice that come with this, I love that dice rolling mechanic where the first person rolls and then picks one of the dice and then takes the remaining dice and passes it to the next person, and then they choose from that pool and then pass the next, and then the person who has only one die gets to roll all the dice again and then choose, and then it continues going. I love that dice mechanic. While it wasn't necessarily innovative, it felt fresh, it felt new, and I liked that. It's kind of like a dice drafting mechanic, and I really do enjoy that collusion of those two mechanics of rolling dice and then drafting them at the same time. So big thumbs up on that dice rolling mechanic or dice drafting mechanic. The miniatures that come in the game are decent, very decent as a matter of fact. They're a little small for my tastes as far as painting is concerned, so I probably won't be painting them, but they are very detailed, and if you like painting small minis, these are right down your alley. But they are very good. They come in their own special colors, so you don't have to paint them, which is another plus for many people out there. The special abilities that come with each of the different Titans were all thematically rich, so to speak. Some were a little bit more powerful than others. There were some that were very specific, where you had to be adjacent to somebody in order to use your special power. And it could be that it just never happens that you're adjacent at the right time to use your ability to its full extent. So that's kind of a bummer. The bonus cards that come actually mirror some of those other special abilities, which I thought was kind of cool, because you have one special ability that only you can do most of the time, with the possibility that somebody else is going to get something that's similar to your special ability through those bonus cards. I like that you can use your special ability once every turn, but then you can also play a bonus card on top of that. So that gave you a lot of strategical choices throughout the game. Am I going to do this, or am I going to do that? Or I guess that would be more tactical choices, but you get what I'm saying. I like all of the different things that you can do. I also like that you can't play those things in the middle of moving. That seems like a very minor thing, but I like that because it kept the game very light and kept people from munchkining their turns. So that's a very good point as well. So all in all, I'm going to give Titan Race for what it is. This is going to get 2 thumbs up from me, because I do enjoy the race. I like how it's a fast race. It doesn't take a lot of time. And on top of that, I also like the miniatures. I like the artwork. They're all very well done. So there isn't a whole lot of bad here, but there's a whole lot of good, which is why it got 2 thumbs up from me. So that is Titan Race from FunForge and Passport Studios. We'll see you on the flip side.